Hello, everybody. Welcome to another session of an app tutorial. This session is actually going to be a very intense one, so request you to pay attention. We're talking about portfolio builder, which is again a part of the research and advisory in the admin account. So, portfolio builder, as a name itself suggests, is about helping our MFD partners, RIA partners, in terms of creating a portfolio and then let them save it like a model portfolio. And then subsequently, the model portfolio can also be given to the client like an investment theme or an investment bucket. So, portfolio builder is the placeholder from which we will actually start the portfolio construction process. So there are multiple objectives or multiple use cases that has on the portfolio builder. Once you create a portfolio, like I said before, you can save the model portfolio, or you can save the portfolio as a model portfolio so that you don't need to recreate it every point in time. You can retrieve it from the model portfolio section under track and whitelisting. The second use case is you don't need to, save it. You can just create a PDF out of it and then share it with the prospect, which will actually talk about the entire portfolio attributes and then, make them as a client henceforth. So there are two kinds of portfolio building approach that we are actually put out in Finam, just like the global standards. One is the bottom up, which is what I've highlighted now, and next is a top down, which is covered in the next one. Okay. So the bottom up is nothing but if you know the funds which are supposed to be a part of the portfolio, you already know your whitelisted funds, you know which funds are supposed to be a part of the portfolio. You just have to search by it and then give the allocation against each of the fund. That is called as bottom up. Bottom up means you know the funds which are expected, not which are expected, which is supposed to be a part of the portfolio, and you just have to give the weightages. And then once it gets to 100 percentage, the save button will be enabled, and then you will be able to see the entire portfolio related attributes as far as the asset allocation is concerned, the AMC allocation is concerned, the fund category, the market cap, all of it. And also you will be able to see the return analysis, which is nothing but comparison of the portfolio on the basis of trailing return, the comparison of the portfolio returns against the benchmark returns. So like we mentioned before, the benchmark is nothing but the scheme benchmarks. If that is to be invested in the same weightage, how the returns would have been in the case of a benchmark is what is getting populated here. Okay, so it's a like an apple to apple kind of a comparison. So not only on the trailing mode, we also have an absolute returns that we've actually put out for the portfolio. This thing, I mean, at a quarterly level, at a half yearly level, and also at an annual level. So all of these information are available for you at a portfolio level, and same is the case with risk analysis. We've already explained this again in the model portfolio section. Repeating it very quickly, we cover about 11 ratios as far as the risk parameters are concerned, starting from maximum drawdown to R square. And anything that you see on the green is nothing but we actually do compare the values which are populated here against a default or an expected value. Okay, and anything which is within the acceptable value is supposed to be denoted as green, and anything which is beyond the acceptable value will be actually marked as red. So giving you a quick example, let's say taking the the value of Sharpe here, 0.04 is something which is less than expected for a portfolio like this, and therefore it is actually marked as green for a 1 year Sharpe. But when it comes to a 3 year Sharpe value for this portfolio, which is at 0.67, is above than the expectation. So anything which is marked in green, consider that as a positive value or a positive attribute. Anything which is marked in red is considered to be a negative attribute, as simple as that. And we also put the portfolio into a risk trajectory based on the risk rating of each of the schemes aggregated at a portfolio level. This is especially going to be helpful in order to make sure that the prospect that you're trying and the risk profile that you've actually done for that particular prospect, whether there is a portfolio suitability coming in here or not. Okay. Then just moving on to holdings analysis, we have the top 10 unique stocks, uniform stocks, sector allocations, and all of that, which is a part of the underlying attributes. And then finally, the correlation and the overlap is also given here, as you can see, because the portfolio is fairly diversified with just an overlap of 0.71 percentage. Okay, so the idea here, just reiterating it very quickly, that the bottom up is a use case where you already know the funds that you would want to be including a part of the portfolio. You just search by it and you give your weightage, and then once it gets to 100 percentage, the save button will get enabled. And two things that you can do is, one is generate the report uh, in a double quick manner. The report will be generated, and this is something that you can save as a PDF and share with the client or share with the prospect, so to say. So this is one particular extremely relevant, especially when you're prospecting, when you would want to share an investment proposal with the client, a plain vanilla one, not a real customized one, but a plain vanilla investment proposal is something that you would like to share. Then you will actually be able to do it from the portfolio builder aspect. Now, the second use case is, suppose that you would want to retain this portfolio, or you would want to replicate this portfolio to other set of clients as well. Then you can just save it like a model portfolio. You just say it like best, or I'll say model portfolio 5. Now, this will now be available under the tracking and whitelisting. So if you come here, tracking and whitelisting, under the portfolio section, you will see model portfolio 5. And now you do not have to recreate this one every time that you come to model portfolio 5. The data will actually be automatically fetched. And if you're convinced with model portfolio 5, you will also be able to make it available to the clients as investment baskets. Okay, so that is a very strong use case or a powerful use case in order to make sure that your research is also getting implemented at a client level, at an execution point of view. So quickly now coming back to the portfolio builder. So what we covered earlier was the bottom up, where we were aware of which are the funds that is supposed to be a part of the portfolio. When it comes to top down, it is giving a very different dimension. You wouldn't know that which are the funds, or you would want the system to be suggesting you that which are the funds that is supposed to be a part of the portfolio. So therefore you're giving certain, like, you can actually give AMC allocation. So if you want to restrict the portfolio to be limited to a few AMCs, you can actually give an AMC kind of an allocation. And I've just given here a small example of 25% each to these four AMCs. But it is not mandatory for you to be restricting, or for you to be putting that AMC condition. But what is mandatory here is the asset allocation and fund category. That is something that you need to be giving as part of the first filter. You should be defining that what amount of allocation should actually be going into equity, and within equity, what are the kind of allocation that is supposed to be put into different fund categories is something that you're supposed to be putting in as a mandatory part. And after that, you can just click on fetch funds, and accordingly the funds which qualifies your criteria, your filter, will actually be getting applied. Now you can see that there are many funds here. You can also give certain other advanced filters, like for example, the any funds that you sort of choose should have outperformed the benchmark minimum, let's say 50% of the time. And you click on the fetch funds. Now you can see that it is actually coming down to just about these many number of funds here. So after that, you can give your allocation percentage here, and the moment it gets to 100 percentage, the submit button will be enabled. And the same way as it was working in the bottom up, the portfolio attributes will be shown, and then you will be able to generate a report. You will also be able to save it like a model portfolio. So, summarizing this, portfolio builder is the placeholder that you should actually be coming to in terms of constructing, building a portfolio based on two approaches, top down and bottom up. Bottom up is the case where you already know the funds, you just have to search for the fund, input the percentage. Top down, you would want the system to be recommending the funds to give certain umbrella conditions. And in both the cases, once the allocation reaches 100 percentage, the save button will be enabled. Once the data is shown to the screen, you can generate a report, or you can save it like a model portfolio. Both the cases are possible. We recommend you to save it like a model portfolio, especially when you feel that it is going to be replicated, so that eventually you can make it like an investment basket to your end customers, which is extremely powerful in terms of prospecting and also in terms of the client management with a single click execution. So if you need any help in terms of constructing an organic portfolio, scientific portfolio, please do get in touch with your relationship manager. As always, we are so happy in terms of providing the research support to you in order to make your practice much more efficient and robust. Thank you so much for watching. Again, bye.